It's Overreaction Monday here at Dolphins Today, and boy, are there some overreactions to be had after that embarrassing 16-10 loss on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and honestly, we'll just jump right into it here because the first overreaction I have is that Mike McDaniel is an absolute moron. I'm giving that 4 fins, which means it's a fact. Some of the decisions Mike McDaniel made yesterday, mind-boggling. It makes you feel like if you were a modified B or mod, a 7th, 8th grade football coach, you would be able to make better decisions than what Mike McDaniel did on the sideline yesterday. And even though that he led the Dolphins to back-to-back playoff appearances in his first 2 seasons, I'm starting to think he is a bad football coach. And he's borderline being exposed for what he is as a leader of men. I'm sure he has the locker room. I'm sure that people in that building like Mike McDaniel. There's no debating and doubting that. But in terms of being the right leader of men to make sure your team is disciplined, well prepared for every football week, I don't know if he is that guy. And then his calling card, which is the offense, the play calling, has been absolutely abysmal this season. And I don't want to hear the excuse that there's no Tua Tagovailoa because we've seen other teams out there with backup quarterbacks at least keep the ship afloat a little bit. This is a sinking ship on the offensive end, and there's no one else that you can point the blame to other than Mike McDaniel. And we're going to talk more about Mike coming up in just a second here, but what is your honest one word on the Dolphins head coach? Pin comment. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. We'll start with the first mind-boggling decision, which is arguably the most chaotic and dumb decision that I have ever seen. How in the world, on 1st and 10 from the Colts' 15-yard line in a tied ball game at 10 late in the third quarter, are you running a fullback dive with Alec Ingold? What are we doing? Are you serious? Especially when this man right here, Jalen Wright, got you to that point. He ran the ball 5 times for 33 yards on 6.6 average yesterday against the Colts. And you can also have a conversation on why the hell did Jalen Wright not get more carries in this game, because he was the most effective and efficient running back. But specifically on this drive, why the hell are you taking the ball out of his hands to give it to Alec Ingold? Did you really think you were going to catch him by surprise on a fullback dive? They had 8 people in the box. Why do you're only running the football? You have no threat of throwing it. So if you're going to run it, trust your run game instead of trying to get cute and handing it off to Alec Ingold. It made no sense. Beyond dumb. And then obviously, to not even combat and compound these issues, Alec Ingold fumbled. And it's just a disaster to give him the ball in that specific scenario. But that's not the only time they did this. On 3rd and 1 at the Indianapolis 36, down 13-10 with 6 minutes to go in the ball game, you did the same thing. You gave a fullback 5 to Alec Ingold. And okay, that one's a little bit more understandable because you're not in the red zone. You only need 1 yard. And Ingold has been your most, productive back in that situation through the first 5 games of the season. I actually understand that decision a little bit. I can understand the thought process rather than the 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line. But you don't get it. And then you kick a 54-yard field goal, and Jason Sanders obviously misses. And I understand you would have tied the game if he makes that. But it's not a gimme. 54 yards, you got to pick up 1 yard. If you don't have the faith in your team to pick up 1 yard in that situation, then there is other conversations that will need to be had. What are you doing, Mike McDaniel? 2 plays to get 1 yard? Come on. Anyone out there, and if you are a Dolphins fan, you knew as soon as Jason Sanders shot in the football field to kick that 54-yarder, it wasn't going to go in. You just knew it wasn't. And I'll also say this. Sure, if he makes it, and you just say this is revisionist history, even if it's tied at 13, there's still 5 minutes to go. There is no guarantee that you'd be able to drive down the football field again and give yourself a chance to win a football game. So why not take advantage of a drive that is actually looking good, that's actually progressing, and go for it on that 4th and 1? Because if you don't get it, you're still in the same situation that you were in when you missed the 54-yarder. It made no sense to me on not going for that and giving it to Alec Ingold twice. 2 carries, -1 yards for Alec Ingold. Good job, fellas. Well, we're not going anywhere. We're still going to cover this team on a daily basis. We're still dropping videos twice a day at times as well. On the road to 63 subscribers. Appreciate everyone who subscribed from our watch party. We're going to cover the team every day. Not going anywhere, folks. All right, the next overreaction here. We'll give Mike McDaniel a little bit of a break, even though he is a moron. Chris Grier, the GM, needs to be canned. Another 4 fins. This is unbelievable. And I will be honest here, and you can go clip me, and I'm going to turn back. I said in the offseason that I think Chris Grier built a pretty good roster. Not defending it anymore. This roster sucks. And there's a couple of key aspects which really cost this football team. Backup quarterback and offensive line. And that's not like I believe the offensive line was good coming into the year. I knew they were going to be bad. It was the worst position group on the roster. I just didn't think it was going to be this bad to where you have dumb football players and Liam Eichenberg and sometimes Robert Jones, especially Liam Eichenberg. He is not rosterable anymore, and I'm absolutely sick of it, and they need to figure out this offensive line. It is just truly, truly terrible, and we'll talk more about it here in just a second. But we do got to talk about a positive here on today's show, and that is Mando, because they make sure I'm smelling right, and they'll make sure you're smelling right at home as well. They are the best way to keep yourself smelling clean. You could use it on your whole body. Yes, your whole body. It's dermatologist tested and gentle on all your bits. It also controls odor for 72 hours, clinically proven. And they have so many different awesome products that make you the smelling or the good most smelling person in the building. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. I got a couple products in-house with me today, and the one that I got to show you the most, it's just this normal deodorant part, but I'm telling you what, their Mount Fuji smelling, it's unbelievable. It makes all the girls want to come around me. I'm telling you what, Allie Barefoot can testify. When we're out at bars, they're asking me, why do you smell so good? This is that Mando. It also got other cool things like deodorant wipes if you're traveling or you need some little freshening up and when you're out in public. Listen, Mando's the best place to go for you. And we got an awesome deal for the real ones at home. I got a discount code to help you get hooked up on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. That code is code CHAT at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. One more time, $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT at shopmando.com. 40% off. Appreciate them for sponsoring today's show. All right, let's get back to Chris Grier because he does stink, and he probably could use some Mando. The inability to address quarterback and offensive line is a fireable offense. And listen, we've talked about backup quarterback in the past. Skylar Thompson's horrible. I thought Tyler Huntley would be different. He's terrible. But you look around the league, and you see some of these backup quarterbacks step in. The quarterback that we didn't play yesterday, which thank goodness, because if we played him, probably would have lost by 20 rather than 6. Joe Flacco, who the Dolphins passed on, by the way, has thrown for 716 yards, 7 touchdowns, and an interception. And when Anthony Richardson went out and missed 2 weeks, and Joe Flacco stepped in the middle of the game against the Steelers in Week 4, the offense arguably got better. Like, having that luxury of a good backup quarterback is massive, especially when you have a QB like Tua that you know is injury-prone. And listen, this next guy we're going to talk about, Marcus Mariota, I don't think he's that good, and I actually would have probably stayed away from him in the offseason. But he goes into the game for Washington after Jane Daniel leaves in the first half, and what do they win? 37-0? Like, they're able to just absolutely keep the ship and keep it rolling. They don't have their offense go from here with their starter all the way to down here where you can't even see it. They at least just keep it afloat. And that's all you need with a backup quarterback. Why is Miami the only team that when a backup quarterback comes in, the offense goes from the baseline to literally the worst offense in football? It's so frustrating. You could blame Chris Grier for that and the offensive line. You could blame Mike McDaniel for not being able to develop a game plan and coach and play call to their backup quarterback strength. I don't know who you want to point the blame to, but having this offense fall off the way it has with their backup quarterback situation is horrific. And I know this team didn't have a lot of money and cap back in March during free agency, but not finding the ability and money to address the backup quarterback spot and going into the year with Skylar Thompson as your QB2 and then having to rely on Tim Boyle too after you picked him up and put him on the practice squad is absolutely frustrating. And there's no one you else can blame other than Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel. And I know a lot of the people probably are going to answer yes to this, but what say you? Should the Dolphins fire Chris Grier at the end of the season? They're not going to do it in the middle of the season, but are they going to do it at the end of the season, and what should they do? Type Y for yes or type N for no. All right, last thing I want to touch on today, the Dolphins special team sucks. Well, it's the theme of the video. It's for Finns. It's absolute. They are atrocious. There's no way else to say it, to be honest, folks. Like, they're bad. And we'll focus on Jason Sanders and Jake Bailey because I'm done with them. I really am. They are so – and Jason Sanders had that incredible season a couple years ago. I've always thought Jake Bailey's a bad punter. But with Sanders, he's just too inconsistent, man. And like I said earlier, I don't think any Dolphins fan reasonably expected Sanders to make that 54-yarder because they just know he's not going to make it. And he's had a really bad year to this point. He just flat out sucks. He's 10 of 14. He's converted on every field goal within 39 yards. But 2 of 4 from 40 to 49, that's bad. Like a kicker to be, I know it's low sample size, but 50% on 40-yard field goals, that is concerning. And then 3 of 5 on 50-plus yarders. I'm done with them. It's time to move on. Now, are they going to do that during the season? Probably unlikely because this team has so many issues, and having to try to find a new kicker every week is not one that I want to add to this list. But at the end of the season, done with Jason Sanders. Find a new kicker. I'm done with Sanders' experiment in Miami. And then don't get it twisted on Jake Bailey. I'm done with him too. So far this season, he's 20th in punt average, 47.3 yards. And he's been called on to punt quite a bit. So you would expect that he would have some good practice. And sure, he had a couple big punts in the game yesterday. He had a 59-yarder. That was a fantastic punt. But there's too much inconsistency with Jake Bailey. There is. He had 2 punts in a row in the first half that were 34 and 33 yards. You had the chance to pin the Colts deep, where you're punting the ball at the 45, 50-yard line on your own side of the football field. Should be an easy inside the 20. And these teams are getting the ball at the 25, 30-yard line because he's shanking punts. I'm sick of Jake Bailey. All right. Deep breath, everyone. Deep breath. All right. Hopefully everyone is going to be able to move on. And listen, we're not going anywhere. We're still going to cover the team on a daily basis, like we said earlier. So make sure you're subscribed. And if you're watching at this point of the video and you're not subscribed, well, clearly like something over here. So make sure you do hit that sub button. On the road to 63K. We're going to drop another video later today because we're still covering this team and we're not going anywhere. So join the channel.